she dip it and she back it up slow. She's in the place, everybody knows. Lights up the stage like a Vegas show. On everybody's story, everybody's snap. Sting, she a sting, and a shock, she a shock. Who don't like she? Them flop. She don't care what you think about that, cause she got the wine that will make man lose them life, them life. She got the wine that will make some girl think twice, think twice. She got the wine that will make man lose them wife, them wife. She got the wine that will make another girl think twice, yeah. Go round so, love the way you make your body move and go round so, girl, girl. Go round so, love the way you make your body move and go round so, go round so.
Driving wicked and wild, put it on me. Boy, come on, put it on. Put it on me. Hold my body from the station. Put it on me. Boy, come on, put it on. Put it on me. I like how you turn me on. Boy, come on, put it on me. Just come on, put it on. Say, come on, put it on me. I like how you turn me on.
I'll tell you what.
Come on, put it on me.
I'll tell you good, no.
Put it on.
I'll tell you push on.
Put it on me.
Oh, Lord. I'll tell you.
In defects me and you whining. Hold me tight, don't stop me grinding. I'm loving it. Baby, I'm loving it. Let me hold a cozy corner. I'm party till it's over. I'm loving it. Baby, don't lose your grip. Just me and you. I left in home the crew. Me and my boo, pop over belongs to me and you. Oh boy, just come on, put it on me. Boy, come on, put it on. Say, come on, put it on me. Hold my body from dusting on.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you push on it and then walk. I'll tell you run on it, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you push on it, I'll tell you. Oh Lord, I'll tell you, oh girl. Want you to whine and then you go low, girl. Want you to unleash the party animal. How you whining a local, whining international. Oh Lord, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you push on it and then walk. I'll tell you run on it, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you push on it, I'll tell you. Oh Lord, I'll tell you, oh girl. Want you to whine and then you go low, girl. Oh Lord, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you push on it and then walk. I'll tell you run on it, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you push on it, I'll tell you. Oh Lord, I'll tell you, oh girl. Want you to whine and then you go low, girl. Want you to unleash the party animal. How you whining a local, whining international. So leave by example, girl, and then you whine, 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 whine. Until you turn and whine, 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 whine. Jiggle it a little bit, whine, 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 whine. Turn it around and whine, 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 whine.
Darian, problems. This girl causing trouble. If I ever hold you, if I ever get my hands on you, if you know the things that I woulda do, you see you. If I ever hold you, if I ever get my hands on you, if you know the things that I woulda do, you see you. Look at the way how she bubbling, I like that, and the way how she pushing it. Right back, a lot in where you have the it, fat, fat. Give me that. I want that. See the way how she bubbling, I like that, and the way how she pushing it. Right back, and the size of that thing they it, fat, fat. Give me that. I want that. The way how you wind to the ground, of course I woulda beg you for some. And the way how you bend up your back, you don't know I must want some of that. So just free up the thing now, baby. All you doing, girl, is teasing me away from my mind. Girl, you're so fine. Just wanna put it on your one time, but
just wine.
Come give me.
I can't wait no longer, baby. Wine for the this time. I want it now.
Come give me.
Right now, right on the dance floor.
Come give me.
Right now, baby, I'm coming on.
Come give me.
Right now.
Come give me.
Right now.
Turn around, girl, show me emotion. Come put it on me. Girl, I wanna get in there. Girl, I wanna get in there. When you raise, girl, show me emotion. Come put it on me. Girl, I wanna get in there. Girl, I wanna get in there. Oh, wine for me now. Oh, for me now. Wine for me, girl. I want you wine for me, baby. Wine for me now. For me now. Wine for me, girl. I want you wine for me, baby. Give me the wine. She go wine all night. If it was a crime, I would do the crime. Tell that thing then night. I love how you wine like that. And start to get stuck. Bend over and give me it from the back. I hope you can handle when it get hot. Turn around, girl, show me emotion. Come put it on me. Girl, I wanna get in there. Girl, I wanna get in there. When you raise, girl, show me emotion. Come put it on me. Girl, I wanna get in there. Girl, I wanna get in there. Oh, wine for me now. For me now. Wine for me, girl. I want you wine for me, baby. Wine for me now. Wine for me, girl. I want you wine for me, baby.
Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and digitally.barbados.com.
She thinks she's a shy girl, but I'm a Stella. You got trouble when you're walking up.
Shut up on the drum,
Yes, baby. She thinks she's a shy girl, but I'm a Stella. You got trouble when you're walking up. Yes, trouble when you're walking up. Yeah, all about original knowing me. Girl, I want you bend down, girl, and give me your all, girl. Totally, wine like a trinity with beer, so walk up in it.
Well, if you really want it, don't waste my time. 1 in a million, wine if you're mine. Come give me, oh give me.
Ready for give me all. No romance and just hard wine. You give me no style. Keep up with me, keep close to me, cause I'm wild. You don't know me why.
So we are wine. Yeah, let's up at the town. I'll be leave and walk out. Goodbye if you're shy.
She thinks she's a shy girl, but I'm a Stella. You got trouble when you're walking up. Yes, baby. She thinks she's a shy girl, but I'm a Stella. You got trouble when you're walking up. Yes, trouble when you're walking up. Yeah, all about original knowing me. Girl, I want you bend down, girl, and give me your all, girl. Totally, wine like a trinity with beer, so walk up in it.
Well, if you really want it, don't waste my time. 1 in a million, wine if you're mine. Come give me, oh give me.
Ready for give me all. No romance and just hard wine. You give me no style. Keep up with me, keep close to me, cause I'm wild. You don't know me why.
So we are wine. Yeah, let's up at the town. I'll be leave and walk out. Goodbye if you're shy.
Goodbye if you're shy girl. She thinks she's a shy girl, but I'm a Stella. You got trouble when you're walking up. Yes, baby. She thinks she's a shy girl, but I'm a Stella. You got trouble when you're walking up.
The way she whine and I make it spin, girl. Me want you wind up in front of me. Jiggle your body. Me want you wind up in front of me.
Oh my.
DJ Chili.
She bubble like a soda pop. The way she whining, I be loving that. You can really wine, girl. You can really blow my mind, girl. She bubble like a soda pop. The way she whining, I be loving that. Whoa. You can really wine, girl. Come step to the front of the line. Me stepping at the dance. Watch the girl out the road. Me wanna give you my number, baby. Call me anytime. Watch me phone bling bling. Look how the girl them a wine. We make your body feel nice. I wanna give you my number, baby. Call me anytime. Watch me phone bling bling. Wine up in front of me. Jiggle
turn me and attack me from behind.
Wine on it, wine on it, wine on it.
Latinola,
Yes, I roll like money.
Wine on it, wine on it, wine on it.
Latinola,
And you take your time on it. Wine on it, wine on it, wine on it.
Latinola,
And it's like the Titanic.
Wine on it, wine on it, wine on it.
Latinola,
And it, girl, I know you want me, and I want you. So put it on me, and let me put it on you.
We gon' kick back a vibe and turn on the lights and do anything we want to.
Girl, I know you want me, and I want you. So put it on me, and let me put it on you.
We gon' kick back a vibe and turn on the lights and do anything we want to. Yeah, yeah.
Baby, you wine on the things so nice. Girlfriend, you outdo yourself tonight.
And every time I wine for your body, you left me with naughtiness on my mind.
Sweet girl, I wine hold you in me paw. And fling a wine on your bumper jaw.
Now me got butterflies in me belly, cause you know exactly what me want.
No, no, no.
Latinola,
No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no.
Latinola,
No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no.
Latinola,
No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no.
Latinola,
No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No. No, no, no.
Latinola,
No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Me want you bubble for me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Me don't want your whole bar. Body full of melanin, pretty little dark skin. Girl, me want you know that. I got my eyes on you. See your papa got the check them ties on you. You wine good. I love you. I love you. You are like a talking thing and a feel me, girl. Action start when you see me, girl. Roll up your waist and your mini skirt. Rihanna, yeah, so you give me work. Me want you turn back, we know my
Feel up the body,
bubble for me, baby. Red alert. Your body good, God.
feel up the body.
Surely I gotta make your mind. Your body better than gold, better than gold. Keep it in the need of your clothes. And your wine is sweeter than sweet.
Feel up the body,
Body boss and if it compete. Your body better than gold.
feel up the body.
Keep it in the need of your
Feel up the body,
sweeter than sweet.
feel up the body.
Body boss and if it compete. Bubble and waist for me, baby. Your body and a lace, you can't stop no. Oh no, oh no. When your waist in a circle, slow like turtle. Slow mo, slow mo. I got my eyes on you. Body so good, can't tell lies on you. You wine good. I love you. I love you.
Feel up the body when me whiny, whiny bun you. Touch me up when me whiny, whiny bun you. Squeeze me up when me whiny, whiny bun you. Now watch how this rude gal move. This gal is a rude gal. Feel up the body, mash up the place with me. Feel up me body, rotate me waist and I feel up me body. This gal take way gal. Feel up me body when me whiny, whiny bun you. Touch me up when me whiny, whiny bun you. Squeeze me up when me whiny, whiny bun you. Now watch how this rude gal move. This gal is a rude gal, rude gal. Mash up the place with me tight pants. Rotate me waist in a slow motion. This gal take way gal man. This gal is a rude gal, rude gal. Mash up the place with me tight pants. Rotate me waist in a slow motion. Now everybody want this gal. They say me short and me feisty, but every man them a like me, because me know how fi walk, inside of the party. I see enough gal bubbling, but not a lot of man trouble them. They want a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets. This gal done styling. This gal is a rude gal, rude gal. Mash up the place with me tight pants. Rotate me waist in a slow motion. This gal take way gal man. This gal is a rude gal, rude gal. Mash up the place with me tight pants. Rotate me waist in a slow motion. Now everybody want this gal. Now watch me take it and me tuck it and me take it and me tuck it right there, right there, right there, right there. Watch me walk and go down this gal anthem right there, right there, right there, right there. I see enough gal bubbling, but not a lot of man trouble them. They want a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets. This gal done styling. This gal is a rude gal, rude gal. Mash up the place with me tight pants. Rotate me waist in a slow motion. This gal take way gal man. This gal is a rude gal, rude gal. Mash up the place with me tight pants. Rotate me waist in a slow motion. Now everybody want this gal.
I never see so much obstacles before. I got to pray some more. I got to try and forget about it. I never say I'm perfect, and yes, I fall, but I'm gonna again. See, my journey will never go in vain. I never see so much obstacles before. I got to pray some more. I
pray some more. I got to try and forget about it. I never say I'm perfect, and yes, I never see so much obstacles before. I got to pray some more. I got to try and forget about it. I never say I'm perfect, and yes, I fall, but I'm gonna again. See, my journey will never go in vain, no, no. That's how I gotta push. You gotta push and go through. We gonna push. We gotta push and go through. We gonna push. We gonna push and go through all the way, yeah, yeah. When my fire burn, you can see it from miles away. And the light from the flame is called my destiny. The road might feel little muddy, but I can go through like Juve. Along the way I might stumble, but remain humble. I'm not ashamed to say that yes, I fall, but I'm gonna again. See, my journey will never go in vain, no, no. Yes, I fall, but I'm gonna again. See, this journey will never go in vain, no, no. That's how you gotta push. We gotta push and go through. We gonna push. We gotta push and go through. We gonna push. We gonna push and go through all the way, yeah, yeah. I never see so much obstacles before. I got to pray some more. I got to try and forget about it. So let me go back to my jam. My greatest concern is to not live in misery. So it's best I jam, cause we have a chemistry. I've doing this long time. That's my remedy for peace of mind. And even if you stumble, just remain humble. I'm not ashamed to say that yes, I fall, but I'm gonna again. See, my journey will never go in vain, no, no. Yes, I fall, but I'm gonna again. See, this journey will never go in vain, no, no.
You keep accusing me of places I never, ever, ever. You keep accusing me of places I never been. When it was at work, you were at home, and I don't know what you did. You keep accusing me of places I never been. When it was at work, you were at home, and I don't know what you did.
She say you keep confusing me. Things change, read the eulogy. She was nothing but true to me. I would flip out usually, cause she don't understand what the flirty thing do to me. The scrutiny. People changing who they used to be. I thought love remained the same, different news to me. To show you that I'm a better man. Type in a picture.
My girl, stop call up before me, and not time for your ego. Me do your work, we maintain and feed you. But still you call every minute is a crawl. If I was a weak man, me would have jumped China wall. You not ease up, you can be serious. A good thing me not get back me visa. But even if the truth of it is, me still don't believe I can leave you.
You keep accusing me of places I never been. When it was at work, you were at home, and I don't know what you did. You keep accusing me of places I never been. When it was at work, you were at home, and I don't know what you did.
Once again, girl, wine for me. Wine for me, girl. This word. My girl, wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it, bring a little bit. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it. I love how you work it, girl. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it, bring a little bit. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it. I love how you work it, girl. The way you bounce it, like Tracy McGrady, and stop till you don't get. And the way how she flaunt it, not even Victoria can hide this secret. Shake it like an earthquake to tease me, like how move the earth to please me. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle it a little bit. Love the way how you shake it a little bit. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it, wiggle it a little bit. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it. I love how you work it, girl. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it, wiggle it a little bit. Wine pon it, wine pon it, wine pon it. I love how you work it.
Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter,
let me touch up your body for you know. I want you to push back, like that. Cock up your body for me no. Come and let me love up your body for you know. Come and let me touch up your body for you know. I want you to push back, like that. Cock up your body for me no. Girl, come close to me. By my side, you're supposed to be, yeah. I wanna get close to you right now. I wanna get close to you somehow. Girl, come close to me. Fill up your body with ecstasy, yeah. I wanna get close to you right now. I wanna get close to you somehow.
So listen up, my loyalty is to you. 100% is true. My loyalty is to you. So when you're running around, I really want to remember. Another man won't give me number, and another man won't give me pleasure. Because so much money on me DM, sweetness they want me to give them, and so much money on me DM, want to replace you. Because so much money on me DM, want me to clap on the rhythm, and they want it real back for true. But my loyalty is to you. All the loyal gas can let me jack it up. All the loyal gas can let me clean it up. All the loyal gas can let me back it up. Can let me back it up. Just let me back it up now. All the loyal gas can let me jack it up. All the loyal gas can let me clean it up. All the loyal gas can let me back it up. Can let me back it up. Just let me back it up now. Listen up. Loyalty to the end. I'm loyal like a best friend. I'll be loyal down to the end. And I want you to know anytime that you're feeling weak and you want to step out and cheat, I'll have a new man here in a week. For real? Because so much money on me DM, sweetness them want me to give them, and so much money on me DM, want to replace you. Because so much money on me DM, want me to clap on the rhythm, and they want it real back for true. But my loyalty is to you. All the loyal gas can let me jack it up. All the loyal gas can let me clean it up. All the loyal gas can let me back it up. Can let me back it up. Just let me back it up now. All the loyal gas can let me jack it up. All the loyal gas can let me clean it up. All the loyal gas can let me back it up. Can let me back it up. Just let me back it up now.
Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and digitally.barbados.com.
If you see then you shall find and you can call me. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes. Woman, you called 10 times yesterday, 10 more again today. Think you can program but I live my own damn life. Seems like you want more than company. Can't tell in friends and family about a young handsome guy. Don't get things twisted, baby. Don't expect no more than what we already have. Keeping it simple. Don't expect no more than what we already have. Keeping it simple. Must be confusion in your mind. If you see, then you shall find, and you can call me. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes. Woman, you called 10 times yesterday, 10 more again today. Think you can program but I live my own damn life. Seems like you want more than company. Can't tell in friends and family about a young handsome guy. Don't get things twisted, baby. Don't expect no more than what sometime, but not all the time. So you take a wine with me sometime, you take a grind with me sometime, you can vibe with me sometime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we're going to ask Ms. Deborah Hines, chairperson of St. Michael Central, to lead us in a word of prayer.
All heads bow. Father and God, we bless you. We praise you and we give you all the honor and glory that is due to your name. Tonight we want to thank you as a party that even throughout the years that she have traveled into 66, celebrating our 66th year, Lord, we pray, dear God, that you will continue to be with us. You will continue to give us the strength. Give us the energy, dear Father, to continue to motivate us to do, dear God, what you have planned for this party and all that you have planned for this party. And I pray, dear God, that tonight proceedings will be done unto your glory and we would have a wonderful time together in your presence. And as we would leave here and go back to our places, you would take us back home in peace and safety. We have a few more days to go, and I pray, dear God, that you would take full charge of every single thing that is to be done here in this party and on these grounds. So we bless you and we give you the honor and we give you the glory for all that you have done, all that you are doing, and all that you're going to continue to do. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Thank you, Comrade Hines. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Audwin Skeet, and I'll be your chairperson for this evening's proceedings. At this point in time, we're going to ask the party president, Ms. Worrell to come and give you an official welcome.
Good evening, comrades. It is so wonderful to see you all out here tonight. Welcome to the 66th Annual Conference of the Democratic Labour Party. We don't only call ourselves dear loving people, we like to put that into action. We are meeting this year in constrained circumstances again. We're under directives that limit how many of you can be here physically, but we found a way around that, and we have our social media links. We are under curfew that says we have to finish by a particular time, but we found a way around that and simply cut the program to suit. Because come hell or high water, the Democratic Labour Party will meet to discuss the business of the people of Barbados. And I want as well to welcome you, even though this is not a new space, but to welcome you here to our home, where as you look around, you can visibly feel the difference, see the change. And I know you clapped just now, but I want you to clap again for yourselves. Because the transformation that you see around you could never be possible without your time, your talent, and your funding. We are grateful to each other for the effort that has been put in to bring our home back to its glory. And this is important because it is a symbol too of how we believe in ourselves. How we carry ourselves on a daily basis speaks to our confidence. It is an uplifting experience. And it really does warm the heart to be here all the time. Even though I will say that our plans expected that the meetings that are public meetings, the rallies, would have been taken around Barbados. But the COVID requirements have prevented us from doing that. Imagine if we didn't have our own home to come to. This is forever the home of the Democratic Labour Party. As we go through this extended weekend of activities, I want you to keep one thing in mind. We have one common goal, and that is to ensure that the Democratic Labour Party once again is representing the people of Barbados. I know a lot has been said about the leadership battle, and it has been hotly contested. I want you to remember one thing in relation to that. Iron sharpens iron. We are all one. And at the end of the day, we all, like we did with every other contest that we had, will come together and pull together. And so for the week that we are here celebrating with each other, 5 days, I want us to think always of our people. As we go through our resolutions and we have our reports, and of course, as our spokespersons are reporting over the next 2 days, to keep in mind that one common goal. The Democratic Labour Party will not shirk its responsibility to the people of Barbados, and our focus will never be anything other than on that praise as we move forward together. So please enjoy your fellowship this weekend, but also come to have robust debate in relation to the resolutions that will be tabled. Come to make sure that you make your mark in making first the party, then the country better for everyone, because that is our common goal. Thank you very much for your attendance here in person and online, and I wish you the very best in the coming week. I thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we know that we are under strict COVID guidelines. And just a matter of housekeeping, at the entrance, you will have your temperature check, your hand sanitizer, and there's a book there that you will put your name, your contact information for contact tracing. We are here at yet another annual conference. And just for those who might be here for the first time, the bathrooms are on the left. The immediate left, which will be your right, will be the ladies. And then the one to the farther end will be the gentlemen's washroom. Please use them carefully and make sure that we enjoy and stay within the guidelines of the COVID restrictions. And at the end of the day, or should I say at the end of the night, we will all remain COVID-free and have a good time here at the Democratic Labour Party's annual conference. This is the first night of 5 days of activities. We are going until Sunday. This is the first night, as I said. We're having a rally tonight. We'll be having another one tomorrow. And then on Friday morning, starting at 10 o'clock, between the hours of 10 and 12, we want to make special provisions for those persons who have physical challenges and who still are willing to come and participate in the voting process. We will make provisions for you between the hours of 10 and 12, but all others can still participate in the voting between 10 in the morning until 6 in the evening. And on Saturday, the same thing will obtain. We will try to make provisions for those with challenges between 10 and 12, and voting will go up till 6 in the evening. On Sunday, we will have our fellowship, and then we will have the President's address as usual. But before we get to Sunday, Friday night would be our last rally. And on Saturday, we will have voting, but we will still have the usual membership coming out to give resolutions and to speak to some issues that they would like to see dealt with in whatever way possible, so that we as a Democratic Labour Party can do the things necessary to bring us together in a unique way to move not only the party forward, but the people of Barbados on a whole. That is our main focus, the people of Barbados. This Democratic Labour Party was founded way back, but the philosophy of the Democratic Labour Party is grounded not only with the founding fathers, but with the current membership of today. And we have to keep the battle going. We have to ready ourselves for the upcoming election, and we have to make sure and ensure that the message that we deliver to the people of Barbados is one that will certainly resonate with them and uplift them and inspire them to join hands with the members of the Democratic Labour Party to move Barbados forward. And we're going to move on to our sports persons for this evening, because I know you didn't come here to see me standing here and being the chairperson. You come here to hear what the sports persons have to say. And I would introduce our first sports person this evening is Mr. Damien Griffith, and he will speak on the topic of tourism. So welcome him as he comes, Mr. Damien Griffith.
Good evening, comrades. It is good to see your faces here tonight. We are ready for another year of our annual conference, and we are here to prosecute the government. I think it is necessary that we list the list of things that have been foisted upon this country in the last 3 years. Many of you would have remembered the election fever. Give me the vote and watch me, she told us. Give me the vote and watch me. We can watch no more. Our brothers and sisters in this country, our parents, our fathers, our mothers, everyone is suffering, and we have to do better. The Dems are here, and we are stronger, ready to serve. Because that is what this party is about. And that is what this conference will be about. We have created an environment where we are once again ready to lead this country. There are no doubts about that. We may be poo-pooed and hem and hawed by the opposition, but we are once again ready to lead this country. It's good to hear the applause here, but that is not from the people in this room. That is from the people of Barbados. Every time I traverse a supermarket or I go to a beach, I had to spend a little time in a hotel recently at my own expense, thanks to the government. And that taught me a lot about the spirit of Barbadians. I was reminded of the fact that Barbadians are proud, respectful people, because every morning at 7 a.m. I got a wake-up call from housekeeping. And they said to me, "Good morning, sir. How is your day today? How can we help you?" Throughout my day, food was brought by one of the bus boys or the bellhops to make sure that I was fed and happy. And each worker in that hotel took great pride in making sure that I, as a guest, felt, even though I was isolating in a room, that I was taken care of. That is the Barbados that we know. But that is not how our tourism product has been run. It has been run in a scattershot manner, because we've had 2 tourism ministers thus far, and neither of them seem to have an idea of their own. The first thought it was okay to just follow on the policies of the Democratic Labour Party, not creating any of those for himself. And the highlight of that was when a flight that former Prime Minister Frandell Stewart and former Minister of Tourism Richard Seeley, a flight that they put heart, tears, and sweat and soul into getting to come to Barbados, that minister made it seem as if he had done something, when his only interaction was standing at the airport and watching the plane come in. They have no shame. Don't expect them to have any shame. Instead, we need to know who the devil is we are dealing with. But he was not the worst. Worse was yet to come. Because the current minister has shown her ineptitude at every turn. We are facing a crisis that Barbados could never have imagined, and clearly she has no imagination on how to solve. She was the minister that 8 months ago, just 8 months ago, told us it was not going to be a problem when England went into lockdown with COVID. Everything would continue to function as normal. Mind you, England remains steadfastly the major tourist market for this country. And it is now that we can see there can be no understanding of what is going on in the economy by this minister. Because the cost of living in this country has begun to rise because the second part of her portfolio, the one we never hear about, because she's Minister of Tourism and International Transport. And the cost of international transport has been rising. When you speak to the merchants in this country, because we must speak to them too, you hear details of how the cost of transport of goods is increasing, sometimes by as much as 500%. But we have seen that all this government has done since 2018 is increase the taxes. In 2018, if you cast your mind back to the last time we had a mini budget, I think it was, we were told that we were going to increase the taxes on airfare to $35 for Caribbean travel, inter-Caribbean travel, and $75 for international travel. We have only recently, after all of the chaos in the system, started to get any negotiation on that. And it bears out the fact that when you look at a plane ticket, because I have had to look at them recently, you see that when you leave Barbados, you have to pay $150 to get to New York. But this is for taxes. This does not count for fare. That's just the taxes. But $7.50 to come back. But yet we talk about reviving the tourism industry in spite of COVID. This minister doesn't know what she's doing. And she clearly does not understand the cost it puts on people. Because travel is not just a luxury. I think many people who are traveling for leisure have cut it out because of COVID. But say to the Barbadians who have not been able to visit their families in the US and the UK, not just because of COVID, but because of the environment, the extra costs that come in. Because you see that with the COVID protocols, you are spending up to an additional 2,000 Barbados dollars on any flight. Because if you have to quarantine, the minimum cost that you can pay for that quarantine stay is $1,000. If you then have to get the testing done at expense, it's $100 here and significantly more in the other destinations. So when you talk about bringing back tourism, you seriously have to think about all of the elements. It's not just opening a couple of hotels and saying, man, people gonna come. Because yes, Barbados still has a stellar image, but we have a lot more to do. So what can we do? And what has she not been doing? We can change how we interact with people. We need to understand that we have to get costs under control. So the costs in the world are rising. We need to give added value for coming to Barbados. And the biggest flaw in their plan has been the lack of clarity to the traveler. What do I mean by this? Recently again, I sat at the airport having come back on a flight and watched a young lady in tears from the Philippines who was coming here to meet her fiancé. When she arrived in Barbados, having done all the emailing and bookings and everything, she was told, oh, we told you could stay at a hotel that was $90 a night. But now that you are here, we are going to stop that. You are a high-risk traveler. You're no longer going to be able to stay at a $90 hotel. You have to stay at one that's $210 a night. And you must rebook before you leave here. She needed to call her fiancé and because this was a personal trip for them. It had been a year since they had seen each other, outside of Zoom calls and whatever else that they did to keep in contact. Now, your vacation to Barbados starting with that sort of indecision and indecisiveness on the part of a government. If you are going to ask people to quarantine for long, you should be able to tell before they get here, was she not coming from a high-risk country when she left the Philippines? Was she not going to have to come through other high-risk countries to get here? So in her researching and in her talking to you, where was your responsibility? That is not the Barbados that we know. We now need to demand more from this minister because her gaffes have been too costly. It is time that she either start to function effectively or leave, because we can no longer afford her ineptitudes. We must understand that yes, we cannot continue to function as normal with COVID, but the rules have to be clear. The understanding of what has to be done has to be clear. And that is how we get to a stronger tourism economy. What I say to you is, we need to understand that they don't get it. We feel the plight every day. I live around many of the tourism workers who have been displaced, and I hear the platitudes. But you know what? I would like to see this minister one day go out there and buy a bottle of juice from one of the guys that is selling them now so that he can pay his rent payments. I want to see her highlight the fact that there are people out there in alternative businesses because you have not figured out how to get them back to work. We have given tax concessions to the hotels, but taxes to the people. And the people continue to struggle to pay because even now, we fail to remember that it was this government that increased bus fares to $3.50, more than most people can continue to pay at the level of jobs that they have. You are sometimes paying $14 a day as a hotel worker to get into a job that you are never certain that you are going to get your paycheck on time. There can be no sincerity from a government that does not recognize this. There can be no sincerity from a minister who does not show empathy for what has been impacting the people of Barbados. We have to do better. So I say to you, we must demand better on their behalf. And that is why, dear loving people of the DLP, we are meeting here this weekend. We set the policy that is necessary to run the next government. We set the programs that are necessary to run the next government. We set the path that is necessary to run the next government. And I urge all of you to put your heart and soul into it this minute. The heart and soul into this meeting, because this weekend is where it begins. We are going to make the change starting here. Stand up, get ready to walk, because the path to Parliament starts here. We are taking back this country for the people of Barbados. And I say to you this, all of these side comments about disharmony in George Street, we will be holding hands as we march on the malfeasance of this government. We can march and make sure that when we go to the polls in the next general election, nothing is going to be left, no stone will be left unturned, no deed will be left undone. Because we cannot aim for a strong opposition, as I hear some comrades like to say. We are aiming for government, because the people of Barbados can take no more. I thank you, comrades, because this evening we start that path to progress.
Thank you very much, Comrade Damien Griffith. And that's our sports person on tourism. Give him another round of applause, please. As you all are aware, we are heavily impacted by the COVID pandemic. And you can tell by the way that you are seated here this evening, it is not the normal seating capacity, nor is it the normal way we as dear loving people would normally congregate. We are normally in arm's length of each other, sometimes embracing them, because that is the nature of the people of the Democratic Labour Party. We are dear, loving people. But part of the new normal, as they would say, since the onset of the pandemic, is that more outreach has to be done online. And within the last few months, the Democratic Labour Party has launched its website. I'm sure many of you have browsed it already. And if not yet, please feel free to do so. There's lots of information on there. It's very interactive. And one of the things I want you to go, those that are joining us online via YouTube, is to visit the website and see our conference booklet. Lots of useful information, lots of things that you would normally see in person, but with the restrictions we have to do online. So we're asking you, please, visit our website and view the conference booklet for those of you who are watching the streams online. And we thank you for participating in that circumstance, because we know that the restrictions inhibit you from being here and giving your presence in a physical form as we comply with the COVID restrictions. But we're going to move along. We had tourism, and heavily impacting on the tourism sector is the pandemic. And we all know, as Damien was pointing out, that many workers within the tourism sector has been impacted, and they're now on the breadline. But to talk to us this evening about the health sector and the challenges is our sports person on health, none other than Mr. Paul Gibson. Please give him a round of applause, please.
Madam President, members of the executive, former parliamentarians, members of the candidates for the upcoming elections for 2022, 2023, and fellow comrades, good evening. It gives me great joy to be here this evening because it is my first time speaking to my family of the Democratic Labour Party. It is truly an honor for me to be here, to be standing at a podium and in an auditorium where the founding father, Errol Barrow, was the patriarch and the father of this nation. And I want to celebrate that. It is truly an honor for me. And I am so happy to be here this evening. I just wanted to say a little bit before I get into the matter at hand, which is dealing with health and some of the issues that we are facing in the short space of time, because we need a whole night to go through health, but we just have limited time. Just to let you know a little bit about myself. My name is Paul Gibson. I am a pharmacist by training. I have 27 years of experience in the area of management of pharmaceuticals, pharmacy, marketing, sales, general management, and so on. My training is through the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, where I studied pharmacy. I'm a certified John Maxwell coach and trainer. I'm certified with the Canadian Pharmaceutical Association. and I was formerly with GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals, which is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, as a Caribbean vaccine business unit manager, where I was responsible for vaccine campaigns from Bermuda all the way down to Aruba. I'm a former director of the BIDC as well, and I am currently the CEO of All Health Inc., my company of over 8 years. I happen to have had the experience of seeing health across the spectrum of the Caribbean, all the cultures, the politics, the pandemics, the different situations. And so it was my greatest honor to assume the responsibility for the space of health and wellness. My motto in life is, the goal is in the people. And at the end of the day, political parties and people it's all about people. But the G-O-L-D, the gold, is in the people. And this is why we must be very careful how we honor, take care of, and address and treat people. I would like to start to speak on health and wellness portfolio, looking at the value purported by the Honorable Errol Barrow, which is, I want to caption it under social justice. Because if it is one right that every Barbadian or every human being should have, is good health. Correct? And I'll tell you this, the Democratic Labour Party over the many years has always focused on education and health. If you have two of those solid pillars in place, you have a pretty healthy nation, correct? And I think that we've done that very well, so we can give ourselves a round of applause for that as a party. Health can be defined as the state of being of the mind, of the body, and of the spirit. And tonight, I just want to address the two main areas, well, the two areas that are relevant to the portfolio, which is that of the body and the mind, because mental health is very important, which allows me to jump straight into the issue of a situation that I saw only yesterday. We have a situation in this country where when a person goes to the hospital nowadays, they're being treated very interestingly. It is a big concern for me. You have persons in this auditorium that are over 50 years of old. 50 years of age. I'm not going to ask you to put your hands up. But you have given the best years of your life to this country. You've given the best years of your life to working and providing for your family and for building this country up. And one of the things that is beginning to creep in to our healthcare system in Barbados is that the elderly are being neglected. It is a big concern to me. We actually have a ministry of the elderly. And you would think that if that is the case, that the issues relating to the elderly would be addressed. But not so. You have the elderly people who are calling nurses. No, let me do a disclaimer. 95 to 97% of nurses are fantastic people. They're patient lovers. Right, Eleanor? They are really good, and we want to celebrate our nurses. There's something, however, creeping into our healthcare system that is a concern to me as a shadow spokesman of health. And I'm seeing it all around. And it is that you're having this lack of heart, a lack of caring for the elderly. People are calling for bedpans in the hospital and in the A&E department. And many times, the nurse will go and call the family member and say, your neighbor or friend needs a bedpan. You think that's good enough? The reason why I'm addressing that is because it comes right back to the fact that when you go to the A&E department in this country, it is not today. You're going to get better because of a stroke or because of a heart attack or whatever, and then you want to leave and go back and enjoy your family, your grandchildren, your kids. But unfortunately, sometimes it seems that if a mature elderly person comes into the hospital, it is that they believe sometimes that they're coming to die. So if you have a 94-year-old lady who had a stroke, They're not about sometimes getting that person up and out and ready and fit and to go back home to family. Sometimes the care that is given leaves a lot to be desired because of how some people are treating our elderly. And this is a big concern to me. And I want to address it because what we do not realize is that Barbados has an aging population. A population that is more than 50% of elderly. We don't have enough elderly homes. We have 37 people lying on hospital beds still after all this time because they're being abandoned. And the government, this current government, as opposed to taking the effort to create a space for them and to build facilities and expand the elderly, the aging homes, they are doing very little, if anything at all. In a few years, we're going to have a 60-year-old being a 70-year-old and a 70-year-old being an 80-year-old. And we are going to have challenges unless we are futuristic in our thinking and our outlook in looking at taking care of the elderly in this country. It's going to be a big problem. And I want us as the Democratic Labour Party, when we go on the radio to speak about it, to call for better care for the elderly, for our old age homes to be better run, better managed, and having more of them for the aging population. This is something that it is of concern and very close to my heart. And the reason why this is so current in my mind is because only yesterday you had somebody that was very old going to the hospital and having to call and demand to be seen because they just had a stroke. And it was pulling teeth just to get somebody to come and see them. Yeah? And it should not matter who you are or which neighborhood you come from or whether you're uptown or downtown Beijing. It should not matter, should it? Should not matter. You are important. Every Barbadian is important. And we want to make sure that that is addressed up front. The second area of concern to me is the whole area of the development of the institution of the hospital within itself. Now, I am mindful that COVID is here. I am mindful that the government has steered oodles of money towards COVID. And it seems that everything is COVID, COVID, COVID. I'm not going to go to COVID yet. But I want to remind you of something, that we are spending a lot of money as Barbadians on airlifting people out of the country to centers of excellence outside of Barbados. And I'm saying it is about time, as opposed to just looking at tourism. I mean, Damien mentioned tourism just now. I have been calling for the establishment of a tourism health sector in this country where people could come here and get the best care in the world. Not only would we as Barbadians get that care, but the wider Caribbean could be experienced. Not Mr. Gonzalez alone, but all of his countrymen could come here and get it. Yes? You agreed? I'll tell you, this is what running a country is about. This is what you call it planning for generations ahead. Because this is what the Earl Barra had in mind. He said, what is the image of yourself? And any person that is running a government has to understand very clearly that it is not about you. You should put a picture of an old lady in one corner and a picture of a little baby in another corner, so that your focus is always very clear. And you should then project and plan for your country using that context. And I'm telling you that we need to begin to look at our healthcare system, because what the Democratic Labour Party has left, had we not built Blackman Gollop, you know what would have happened with COVID? We would have been in a mess. Had we not built the best Dos Santos lab, huh? That is what you call foresight and forethought. This is what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, there's not one shred of evidence to show that the Barbados Labour Party has done any such thing for this country thus far. What do they have to show for themselves? Don't ask your neighbor, what has the Barbados Labour Party have to show themselves? You ask them. You look around and ask your neighbor. Just turn the person next to you or behind you. Say, what has the Barbados Labour Party done for this country? I'm telling you, you can bet your bottom dollar they have done very little. I call it the on-it-do government. You know what, in Barbados, like parlance, we talk about on-it-do. Remember they had the Spirit one thing and then they on-it-do? Huh? They had Lancaster, they built 300 and something houses and they did what? They on-it-do. Yes? They undo everything. They do things and undo it. They say, look, 18 months in prison for having a firearm. But if you shoot somebody, they give you bail. Madness, lunacy. And I'm telling you, I'm not quite sure that they take things to their furthest logical end. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. And I'll tell you this, when they don't get their way, or if they see that things looking a bit shaky, and I'm supposed to be talking about health, I know, but forgive me, I have to say this one thing. When things get a little shaky, what they start to do is become concessionary. So they're realizing now that people are upset about vaccination and mandatory vaccines. You know what they can do? I bet you, mark my word, they're going to come and say, no. No mandatory vaccines. Right? They'll say, no vaccine. Right? Republic? No. You know why? Because they are about a political timetable. There are about 5 more years. The Democratic Labour Party is about building for the future and building forward. That is not how the Barbados Labour Party operates. I am telling you, I have seen the pattern. And as a matter of fact, when you smell the rat and see what they're doing, they create diversions. They love to send you off into the wild to talk about something else while they're doing something else over here. We have to be very, very careful. And when we speak to other Barbadians, you must tell them, I am telling you that they're going to change the game plan. Look out for it. And when they change it, remember that I told you that they were going to do this. Because they have tricked the Barbadian people into believing that it's all a we. You know? People are tired of the rhetoric. People are tired of the rhetoric. And comrades, tonight, I want to say to you that the cost of living is affecting health in a way that we do not understand. Barbados now has the highest unemployment rate that it has ever had since the Great Depression. Quote that. Use that quote. Let people understand the highest unemployment rate since the Great Depression. And it's not just COVID, you know. Before COVID even hit, they were canceling contracts. Yes? And Bajans are going home not having jobs. Okay, they gave out 80,000 bags of food, a one-off something, to say that they did something. I call it the Ernest Motley methodology, right? But we see it. We see it for what it is. It's supposed to be a singular touchy-feely moment. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. That food went in the toilet months ago. People are hungry in this country. The reality, when the rubber hits the road, people are hungry. And that affects health. We haven't seen the potbellies yet. We know that lack of nourishment and nutrition for children is an issue when they are hungry. It is a problem. It causes them to be distracted. It is believed that it affects their sense of being able to learn and to imbibe knowledge and information. Isn't this true? Some of us may have grown up hungry. I know that I had my days of hunger. I know that. My father and my mother divorced. Being very transparent. We had a little window there of toughness. I know what it looks like. But this is the norm in this country right now. This is the norm. And the reason why Barbados needs a new government and a Democratic Labour Party back in place is because we are able to look after people. Now, thank you. Thank you. We as a party in 2008 were given our crisis as a nation, correct? We have ministers in here who walked us through that that period and brought us to the end of it. People still had their credit cards. People still had their jobs at the end of it. People could still buy food. People still were able to send their kids to school and even travel. Correct? Nobody has anything to work with now. They've been given their crisis, the pandemic. We had the international crisis of 2008, and the Barbados Labour Party had the pandemic of 2018. I can tell you they have failed, and they're failing. I'll tell you why. They're distracted. They're distracted. Ask the Auditor General. Ask the Auditor General. They're distracted. And the type of money that is going in places that is not supposed to go should really be going to build up this country. Why not have new industries in pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical manufacturing for Barbados? Tourism alone? No, we've lost 95% of our tourism product. We need to be looking elsewhere. Our corporate sector. It takes almost 6 months sometimes to open up a private bank in Barbados. Other places do it in a week. These are areas, and touch this area where we can get money. In other words, we need to put our focus and our money where it needs to be, ladies and gentlemen. And this is affecting Barbadians because there are no jobs, there's no food. And because there's no food, there's sickness. Which leads me then to the other part of health, which is mental health. Remember I said I gave you the definition for health? I talk about body, soul, and spirit. People are experiencing depression at a level that they should not be experiencing. We are having issues of suicide. The level of depression that we are observing among our children and among women and men is a tremendous concern to us. Democratic Labour Party, Barbados needs us now more than ever. Barbados needs the Democratic Labour Party now more than ever. I remember saying to people that in one of my news press releases that there is going to be a third wave. We had the first wave, we had 7 people dead. We had a second wave, almost 36 people died. And that's because when we were supposed to close in December 2020, somebody was speaking into somebody's ears while the doctors were speaking to somebody's ears and saying, close the place down. But big business has the ear in Barbados. And as opposed to closing the place down, we ran on another month. And you know what that did? People died. Even in the Bible, when they were going to destroy the earth, God protected human life. Human life is important. He put them in an ark while everything else was being destroyed. The same thinking and mentality has to apply here. People must be put first. And when I say people, I don't mean people alone in the upper rafters. I don't mean just the upper crust of Barbados. Who's getting all the contracts in Barbados right now? I'm asking you, who is receiving the contracts? Whether medical contracts, tendering contracts, it is affecting our Barbadians and it is causing us mental stress. It's causing hardship in this country. I want to say that the whole vaccine debacle that's happening in Barbados is of great concern to me. They're asking for mandatory vaccines, yet they have not enough vaccines. We're only 20%. But yet they want to mandate it. You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Raffle a piece of land and say, look, you have an opportunity to win a piece of land if you get vaccinated, or hotel for 2 at this and this and this and that hotel for your family if you get vaccinated. Woo people, endear people to vaccination. Don't try to make it mandatory. Now, mind you, Vaccines lower the incidence of death and lower the incidence of severity of disease. Is that clear? The incidence of death and the severity of disease is lowered by vaccination. And so, I am one, we are, as a party, I know that we are pro-vaccine, but we are also pro-choice. And let me tell you something, don't play with people's health, you know. Do not play with people's health. They just got some vaccines here, and I'm watching the expiration dates. They just got a fresh set of vaccines, and I, as a pharmacist, I am watching to see when they are to be used. Because they can't be used after the expiration date. Because if we have a big outbreak later on, this is just hypothetical, I'm not saying that this is what is happening, but keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. A lot of things are happening here. A lot of things are happening. And we must be very mindful of it. We must see what is happening. Vaccine, pro-choice, vaccine, it's really up to you. But where possible, you get vaccinated. And remember one thing, you cannot mandate vaccines when you're hearing that a vaccinated person can also be infectious. Did you get that one? You can also spread the disease as a vaccinated person. So if you're mandating that somebody is not vaccinated be tested every day, you also have to ask persons that are vaccinated to be tested, because the science is speaking to us and we want to be guided by the science. My last point for tonight is this. COVID is not everything. We get 2 heart attacks. We have 2 strokes every day and 1 heart attack a day. All attention has been placed on COVID. And I'm sorry to say that a lot of people with heart attacks, asthma, diabetes, ulcerated feet, and so on are all being put aside because the focus has come off of them in a way that it should be. It is of great concern to me. And I'm calling on the government to ensure that not only do they get an effective electronic medical record system, but they spend money in primary health care, because it is the way of reducing your tertiary health care costs. It is the way that you reduce your tertiary health care costs, by managing your primary. That is a sieve. That is a net that catches the cuts, the bruises, the diabetes, the pre-diabetics, the pre-hypertensives, the early cancers, the prostatitis. That is where you catch it at, because if you catch it there, then the secondary and tertiary health care costs actually falls. And I'm saying to the government of Barbados, to this government, that they must not take their eyes off the ball. They have taken their eyes off the ball. And I'm saying that I'm here tonight to say to you this one thing. I am now totally convinced more than ever. If I was never convinced, tonight I am telling you I'm convinced that the Democratic Labour Party knows how to run a country. And they need to give us the thing back. As a matter of fact, I think we should take it back. I think that we should take it back. And I believe we're not running to be any opposition. We are running to take the possession of the government again and lead this country back to where it needs to be. Where the vision of El Barra is spread, and where people can see a mirror image of themselves, a future, a hope that means something, and not have to be dependent. I believe with all my heart that politics is all a ground game. It's a grassroots game. And we need to start now. I heard yesterday that the Barbados Labour Party has pulled the trigger for the start of their campaign. I heard that last night. When I heard it, I said, good, because the game is on. I know that our team is actively out there working. I know that we are going house to house, talking to people, and telling them why they need to be voting for the Democratic Labour Party again. Those persons that were discouraged, we want them to come back on the podium, come back on the landscape of the Democratic Labour Party, and put this party back in power. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you that this is the time for the Democratic Labour Party. I heard Madam President say that on Sunday we are out of the chute. We are ready. We are ready. We are ready. And we need to be ready and to whip up our support, whip up our branches, and let's get going, because we have a country to run. We have a country to run. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless this beautiful country of Barbados. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Paul, sportsperson for health. And I tell you something, if his health wasn't intact, he might would have collapsed here with the passion of his presentation. Give another round of applause, please. Comrade Paul, there's one topic you missed out, and you were speaking about health when it comes to those being deceased at a rapid rate in Barbados. And that is cancer. And that is one of the things that is very dear to me, very dear to me. I can give a small synopsis of what happened to me. In 1983, I lost my second youngest uncle in 1983. In 1993, I lost my eldest brother. In 1996, I lost my grandfather. In 2000, I lost my uncle. In 2002, I lost my aunt. 2014, I lost another uncle. So when the topic of cancer is ever raised, it's something that is very, very dear to me. And I feel passionate about the plea and the plight of those. When any conversation is raised about cancer, health, awareness, wellness, anything along that line, that's something that's dear to me. So I appreciate the passion that you presented with, because I understand the plight of persons when it comes to health. A nation's wealth is a nation's health. And if we don't have healthy people, we're going nowhere. So I understand the passion and I appreciate the passion, and I thank you for your presentation, comrade. But one of the cancers plaguing this government right now is a place to house the people of Barbados. We hear of certain people who are doing their part for the vagrants. But the vagrants is only one sector. There are many people in Barbados who need adequate, not just adequate, but affordable housing. The Democratic Labour Party has always done its best when it comes to housing Barbadians. We had a program called HELP, housing every last person. And the Democratic Labour Party Minister of Housing at that time has done a tremendous job of building out houses across the landscape in Barbados. There are many people in Barbados at this point in time. You can name numerous housing projects. From the Valerie, the Grotto, Marchfield, Worrell, Lancaster, you name it, where people in Barbados have received their homes and are feeling comfortable at this point in time. But in this current dispensation, we do not have that kind of steadfast and robust housing program in Barbados. Even in my constituency, St. Andrew, people are crying out for housing solutions. Some people have the ability, really will get an artisan to build, but they just need the housing spots. There are plenty areas that are landlocked. But what is the government doing to ease the plight of those people? Ordinary workers trying to get a lease on life by owning a piece of the rock. But here to discuss that topic tonight is our sports person on housing, none other than Mr. Rickardo Harrison. Give him a round of applause, please.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami.
Comrades, friends, good evening. I am privileged to address this 66th annual conference of the Democratic Labour Party. Just by way of introduction, my name is Rickardo Harrison. I am called Ricky because many people do not understand the Bertnell part. I am the candidate for St. Michael North. Comrades, I come from humble beginnings. I was born in 5th Avenue, Peterkin's Land, Bank Hall. I was raised in Bush Hall. I was educated at St. Leonard's Boys. It used to be called Richmond's then. I started working at the Advocate newspaper as a linotypist. Then I entered the public service. I reached the position of senior admin officer. And I also spent 41 years volunteering as a member of the Barbados Defense Force Reserves. Comrades, I was born in an era when channel houses abounded and pit toilets were the rule rather than the exception. We have seen under the Democratic Labour Party, Barbados develop and evolve its housing stock to a standard which matches any first world country. But the challenge for better housing is not over yet. We have seen under the last Democratic Labour Party administration, and Comrade Charlie alluded to it just now, the construction of various housing developments, Country Park Towers, Valerie, Marchfield, and also mention of the health project. The designation of spokesperson for housing comes as an easy fit because as I move around Barbados, and certainly as I move around the constituency of St. Michael North, the cry from many residents is the desire for better housing, desire to purchase your own home at an affordable rate, and indeed affordable mortgage rates. Comrades, we recognize that the Barbados Labour Party administration, after 3 years, is out of steam and devoid of ideas, particularly as it relates to affordable housing for its people. We know that before 2018, they promised much, and we are all familiar with the fancy catchphrases and the pretty tunes. In the 3 years that they were in office, let us have a look at their report card as it relates to housing. They developed an estate at Deanstown, allegedly for the middle class.
And what did they do? They took it from the middle class and gave it to the rich, under the ruse, under the spell that it was unaffordable to the middle class, that they couldn't afford the mortgage rates. What foolishness. We are still rather concerned about the Hope project situated at Chancery Lane. This project is not providing any new jobs for anybody. The contractor on that Hope project is a one-man show. And all the building will be done at his firm and transported to Chancery Lane. So it's not going to benefit the average Barbadian, it's going to benefit his staff and no more. And we are yet to find out the terms and conditions under which the housing development at King's Village next to Wesley Hall School will be distributed. How will these houses be allocated? Will they be rent-to-own? Will they be rentals fully? Or will they be distributed for loyalty and political patronage? We ask the question. Comrades, we believe that we must invest in our people through affordable housing. And not only affordable housing, but high-quality housing. And we are asking this current administration to give us a report on the status of housing in Barbados. And we mean the status of housing as it relates to lower and middle income, because that group is the low-hanging fruit. This government came to office and promised to build thousands of houses over the next 3 years. Yet we are left doubtful as there is little indication that housing is a priority for this government. They run and start one or two little projects and get frightened. What we need from the government is immediate and actionable and indeed realistic solutions to the housing problems in Barbados that will deliver security of home ownership that so many of us in the working class group so desperately need. And in doing so, we want to ensure that our scarce tax dollars are well spent with the appropriate and well-trained contractors. Because, friends, the Crab Hill Police Station is still very, very fresh in our minds. As I said before, housing is a major concern to us as Barbadians. And as we go through the constituency of St. Michael North, persons we meet, they ask about employment, but certainly they want decent housing. We are alarmed at some of the conditions of these housing units, particularly in Griffith and in Eden Lodge. And we are asking this government, because they don't like to ask the question, they get vexed and want to curse. But we are asking this government to execute an audit on the number of abandoned and derelict properties to find out if they can be repaired and restated and use them as emergency residences for fire victims and for victims of domestic and spousal abuse. We are still concerned as a party about the lack of the upgrades and the painting to some of these housing units. We are also concerned about the drainage system, particularly in Austin Drive, where immediately rain sets up, it begins to flood because nobody is clearing the well in Austin Drive. There is more to representation than making a cameo appearance at a funeral, smiling strangely, and then at Christmas time, distributing quote gifts. Representation is an all-round, all-year, 24-hour job. We are asking this government for a complete overhaul of the various pavilions and community centers in Barbados, particularly the ones in Eden Lodge and in Griffith. some paint, some electrical upgrades, the repairs to the slabs that provide the seating are just some of the areas that need urgent care. And if you see the Gazette Community Resource Center, you would hold your head in shame. Comrades, speaking of areas that need urgent attention, what has become of the repairs to the National Stadium, which continues to languish in the constituency of a certain individual? Rusty and bare. But instead of repairing the National Stadium so that our young people have a place to train and perform better at the Olympics, they pushed down the old National Insurance building and growing grass and repairing the Constitution River. The money they used to repair the Constitution River and Confused Bridgetown could have been used to repair the National Stadium. And I want to move to this question of Hurricane Elsa. We have a concern that the distribution of resources for persons who were affected by the passage of Hurricane Elsa is being polarized or politicized. If there's a D, you got to wait till your chance to get your house repaired. This is Barbados, under the Barbados Labour Party administration. Comrade Charlie mentioned developments. We want to know from this government what has become of the land at Walkers in St. Andrew that had been earmarked for a housing project. We can't ask the housing minister anything because he's get vexed. So I ain't gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you in the audience. We also want to know what has become of the Hyatt project. 3 years ago, the Hyatt was on the lips of every person in Barbados. There were environmental impact studies. There were suits and counter-suits. An individual was moved unceremoniously off her own land to build the Hyatt project, which was a government project. Now suddenly, they're in office and not a word about Hyatt. Not a song, not a peep. Is this another Clearwater development project that will ride off into the sunset quietly? The Democratic Labour Party also is interested, and indeed the people of Barbados, because we have to speak on behalf of the people of Barbados. When will repairs to the Parliament building be completed? They have been going on for quite a while. And while you are at it, give us a cost of these repairs. And while you are at it, let us know who owns the building at Worrell Corporate Center that is currently rented by the Parliament of Barbados and the Senate. I ask these questions because they came to office promising transparency and accountability and all the other fancy buzzwords. And yet to this day, no one in this audience can say the repairs to Parliament has cost X and contractor Y is doing the job and it will be finished in time for Christmas or in time for the Republic, whatever. Barbadians have been played by this administration. They took them at their word. They'll follow the glitz and the glamour and the charades and the picnics and the meaningless, useless, and empty catchphrases. And what have they brought to us? Most Barbadians, to a man and woman, have a sense of bitter disappointment, hopelessness, and frustration. In the 3-year period that the Barbados Labour Party has been in control of the fate of Barbadians, we have seen a number of measures imposed aimed at destroying the middle class and driving the lower class further into poverty. That's probably going to say you can clap for that. They came to office with a lot of pie in the sky, catchphrases and promises. But comrades, a new Democratic Labour Party government will propose things that are doable. By that we mean affordable rent-to-own government units, grants to qualified individuals, not below the amount that was offered to the squatters, that is not below the $25,000. And, comrades, we will pursue aggressively the concept of reverse mortgages, because we don't believe that anybody who, after the age of 55 should still be struggling with a mortgage and doing security work just to pay the mortgage after they've retired. So those are some of the doable concepts that a new Democratic Labour Party government will follow and follow aggressively. Comrades, we really need to let the Barbados Labour Party administration take back its rightful place on the opposition benches. That is where they do the best work. When they're in opposition, they have all the answers to all the problems that exist in Barbados. They can tell you what they will do and what we can't do. So let them go back there in the next 5 years and rest themselves. I want to close this presentation on a personal note. No less a person than the Honorable Acting Prime Minister and the Honorable Acting Attorney General, whenever there's a chance to tell us Barbadians that there is no mandatory vaccination, and in his fast talking way, he says, "You know, vaccination, Barbados." I had an incident on Monday the 16th of August. When I came home from the office, I saw my son at home. And I said this is a personal thing, so I'll explain. I asked him what he was doing home this early. He said, "Dad, I got fired." I said, "You got fired? You don't drink, so you can't be drinking on the job. You don't take a night and blow in the body." He said, "They came and tell me I can't work no more because I ain't vaccinated." Comrades, if that is not discrimination at its height, you tell me what is. I would wish that the Acting Prime Minister or the Acting Attorney General come and explain to the people of Barbados if we are going to be vaccinated mandatorily, or we're going to be forced to be vaccinated. We cannot operate in this state of flux where the government and the government spokespersons are saying one thing and the people at the surface level are doing something else. Indeed, the people at the surface level are carrying out the wishes of the government. Our Constitution tells us clearly that, and I'll summarize, you cannot force an individual to do something against the will. Section 23 of the Constitution of Barbados. You cannot impose your will on an individual unless the person has committed a crime. The government of Barbados needs to stand up and say to us, no, as the chair said, we are not against vaccinations. What we are against is you force it down people's throats. You don't know who would have had medical conditions and can't take the vaccine. I'm calling on the Attorney General acting to state clearly the position where it relates to employers and employees. My final point, this whole idea of republicanism. We recognize that there's an indecent haste by this Barbados Labour Party government to erase everything that the right excellent Arabara has put in place. The only thing they have not done as yet is to take his face off the $50 bill and remove his status as a national hero. They removed the National Insurance Building on Fairchild Street. Now we are hearing reports and rumors that they are going to have Republican Day on the 30th of November. What a shame, sister. And there are other rumors abounding that they are going to replace the colors that you now wear, the blue and the gold, with something else. I'm not certain what the something else is as yet. Democratic Labour Party family, you have to be on watch. You have to encourage those who would have stayed home on the last occasion to come out and save Barbados from a despotic dictatorship. Comrades, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Harrison, for your report. And somebody just pointed out to me that the time is getting up, but if there's anyone here who knows they're traveling by bus, I know you're enjoying the proceedings. If you have to travel by bus, please be aware of the time. And if so, you need a ride check with a member, but make sure that nobody is left behind when we leave here. We are all members of one family, dear loving people, and we must look out for each and every one. So those who are traveling by bus, please be aware of your time. And like Comrade Harrison was alluding to, and also Comrade Gibson, and even Comrade Damien Griffith, these are very harsh and hard times for people of Barbados. As everyone was speaking, we know that COVID is a pandemic plaguing the world. But there are other countries in the world, in spite of COVID, their situations are looking up. We've seen in the US, on average over the last 4 months, they have averaged upwards of 900,000 people being re-employed into their system a month. In countries like New Zealand, the employment situation is rising. But here in Barbados, we are not seeing our people being re-employed at such a rate that we would like. And part of the problem that the people of Barbados is experiencing in this high cost of living is food. When you stay in line at the supermarket, when you browse through the aisles of the supermarket, if you go by a corner shop. And it's much worse if you go by a bar and people have liquid courage and loose stones. Because some of the things that people will say are not fit for political platforms. But let me tell you something. The point is made and is understood. Because a hungry man is an angry man. And there are many hungry people tonight in and across Barbados because they're in dire straits at this point in time. And a caring government will look out and look after those people. But for some reason or the other, I felt that a lot of the care has been swept away by ELSA because it's no longer there anymore. But here to talk to you tonight about the cost of living and a way to impact on the cost of living and to speak primarily on agriculture is our sports person for that sector, Comrade Andrea Worrell. Give him a round of applause, please.
Good night to my dear loving people of the Democratic Labour Party. I am so pleased to have you here tonight and those of you who are online watching as we in the Democratic Labour Party, we celebrate our 66th annual conference. We're doing it in a different format this year because of COVID. Because of COVID, we cannot get outside or we cannot interact with each other the way how we would normally do. But we brought a new format here tonight and tomorrow night as well, where we can share information with the people of Barbados because we recognize that they want to hear from us in the Democratic Labour Party. Because we recognize that this country right now seems as though it is on autopilot. And all of the great solutions which we thought that the Barbados Labour Party administration had, which they told us about when they were in opposition, as was said before, we're recognizing that they don't seem to know how to implement them. And that's why I am glad to have this opportunity to speak tonight to you, the members of the Democratic Labour Party, and let you know that you have something to be proud of tonight. Because as we go into our 66th anniversary, our 66th annual conference, you can be proud that the Democratic Labour Party has a slate of candidates who are ready and willing to serve, who are coming stronger and who are coming better, because we recognize the need of the people of Barbados. We recognize when we go out into our communities canvassing, when I go into the neighborhoods in St. John, in places such as Messiah Street and Kendall and Sergeant Street canvassing, Foster Hall, you hear the concerns of the people of Barbados. And we recognize that these concerns are not being met by this administration. Because we are going to the ordinary folk in Barbados. When we are going canvassing door to door, we are going to the maids, we are going to the people who work in agriculture, we are going to the people who work in supermarkets, we are going to the janitors, we are going to the nurses, the ordinary people of Barbados. And this administration, up until today, does not see fit how they can address the needs of the ordinary people of Barbados. Because every single solution that they have come up with has gone in one direction, to big business, to all big business in Barbados, to one category of people in Barbados, the big business sector. And we, the ordinary people in neighborhoods and communities across Barbados, are still left wanting. We are still left waiting on this government to wake up, waiting on them to give us more than just lip service, because we're getting a lot of talk. They said that they would talk to us. But you know what? Talking to us is not necessarily bringing a solution. Talking to us is not necessarily meeting and addressing our needs. And this is the situation that we need for them to get to in Barbados, where they would come off of the autopilot and they will start to implement things and start addressing and meeting the needs of the average person in Barbados. And I will tell you that as the candidate for St. John, I will continue to speak out and address the needs of the people of Barbados and the constituency that I hope to represent when the next election is called. You heard my voice when the residents of St. John were crying out for water. I was there. I live in St. John. I felt it too, and I spoke up on behalf of the residents of St. John for water. I advocated on the radio. I made sure that their concerns were heard with different articles. I got the people in the community to sign petitions and to bring awareness to our concern that for months we were left without water and had to get water from a tank or from the Sanitation Service Authority tankers, which was unbearable. And I know that there are persons in other parts of Barbados who are facing similar challenges. And I am hearing my fellow candidates, persons such as Paul Gibson, who from St. James Central, speaking out about the plight of the people in the Redmond Village areas. We are hearing the concerns of the people from St. Peter. We are also hearing our president, Worrell de Pisa, speak out about the concerns of the residents of St. Lucie who need water. And our representative from St. Joseph and St. Andrew, both crying out for concerns with water in their communities. This is what the Democratic Labour Party is about. We have found that vision, we have found that energy, and we are connecting with the people of Barbados so that we can represent them, because we recognize that there's a void. The 30 people who got into Parliament, all of a sudden they do not recognize the problems in Barbados. They only recognize the problems that when they find problems, they can blame the last administration, but they're not recognizing the problems that they're creating on a day-to-day basis for people of Barbados. But that is why the Democratic Labour Party is here, stronger and better, ready to serve, and we are going to be the voice for the people of Barbados. We are going to make sure that this government is made aware of their concerns and address them. Now I will touch first on water, because my area spans agriculture, environment, and energy. And I will touch on all three of those tonight, because in every single one of them, we are left waiting for the minister in charge to actually take up their responsibility and bring a solution. Now, with the water situation, in some areas it has improved, but I want to ask a question. Has the government gone any further in bringing a contractor to start a desalination plant in Barbados? Because we are expecting for this drought situation to get worse. I understand that they're saying that September will be a hot month, hotter than usual, and you recognize that you're not getting rainfall the way how you used to. Has the government gone any further in terms of bringing another desalination plant in Barbados so that when the rain is not falling, that we can make sure that we can supply water to all of the people across Barbados? I haven't heard anything from it. You have two ministers in the Ministry of Water Resources. Let one of them come to the people of Barbados and give an update. This is what you are being paid for. They say many hands make light work. Well, do the work and meet the needs of the people of Barbados. We need things like the desalination plant. We know that you're importing water, but as was mentioned by Conrad Harrison, where is the transparency? Has anyone been told what is the cost for that imported water, the sources of the water, how much have we imported so far, and where is it being put into our water network? We have not been given that information by a government that promised transparency. But since they won the government in 2018, all of those things went through the EDOs. And that's the only crop that they're doing in agriculture, going through those edos. When we come on to other areas, we are left wanting in Barbados. Now, we are currently going through deja vu in Barbados. With the rain, I hope that y'all can still hear me over the rain. Okay. We are currently going through a period of deja vu in Barbados when it comes to agriculture. Back in May, the loan for the Pinnacle fee warned that they would increase the price of the feed in Barbados. Now, we depend on Pinnacle feed for every single livestock sector in Barbados. For poultry, for pigs, for every single livestock sector in Barbados. The only feed price that did not go up by Pinnacle at any significant amount was that the feed being used for horses. I don't know if that is some sort of hint that we may have to consider using horses in our meals. But I am concerned today that after 2 weeks of the Minister of Agriculture promising to intervene to bring some relief to the farmers in Barbados who are all concerned about the increased prices that they have to pay for this feed at this time, especially at a time where the economy is struggling, where we have the highest unemployment rate in Barbados, so obviously the spending power for the persons who will buy the produce is reduced. And we cannot get a solution from the Minister of Agriculture to bring to the farmers in Barbados. The last solution he brought was to pay Pinnacle $2 million, and that lasted for only 2 months, because that was offered in June, and here we are in August, and the feed prices have gone up again. I am asking the Minister of Agriculture, what are you really doing? What are you really doing for the sector? And what are you really doing to address the concerns of farmers in Barbados? This is not an issue that should require you to wait 2 weeks to bring a solution. This is not an issue that requires rocket science to fix. The situation is, yes, the cost of the corn, which is the major input in the feed, has gone up on the world market. Now, we knew this was going to come from more than a year ago. I don't know if many of you remember that when news of COVID first broke in March 2020, one of the things that the Minister of Agriculture came to the country of Barbados with, that they are going to increase crop production in Barbados because they anticipate that there will likely be challenges to food security in Barbados, and they were going to increase crop production. One of the things that we also recognize too, because COVID impacted on travel, and it was recognized that you may have logistical problems in terms of getting shipments here to Barbados. And for that reason, we did say, the Minister of Agriculture said that they were going to take steps to increase crop production in Barbados to improve our food security. We also knew that this increase in corn was expected because of the fires that you had in Brazil and droughts in different parts of the world where corn is usually produced. So the Minister of Agriculture had more than a year to plan and anticipate this fallout with corn and the potential increase it would cause to the food sector. And he has done nothing at the ministerial level and nothing at the CARICOM level in order to bring a solution. And why I say the CARICOM level? Now, Barbados imports about 30,000 tons of corn a year, and this mainly goes into the feed production. Within CARICOM, Belize, one of our CARICOM countries, produces over 100,000 tons of corn per year. We also have places like Suriname, which is available to produce corn. Couldn't the Minister of Agriculture work with his colleagues in CARICOM at a high level in terms of recognizing that we will have issues with food security in the region, and work at a high level to secure corn that could be utilized at Pinnacle Feed in Barbados, either through Belize or production in Suriname. This could possibly have helped to maintain a steady price for corn for the main producer here in Barbados. Couldn't that have been done at a higher level? Has he engaged any of them in that conversation? I asked the Minister of Agriculture that, and I know the answer to that question is no, because if it was so, he would have already told us about it. So I know the answer to that question is no. He has not taken that initiative to bring some relief to the agricultural sector by organizing that high-level meeting with all the ministers of agriculture in the region to look not just at securing more corn, but also increasing the production of agriculture in the region to make sure that we would have healthy food for nutritious food for our people to use at this time. That was one solution that he could have brought to help to mitigate the price, the increase in the price of corn. The next solution, we have a lot of idle land in Barbados because even though they promised to increase crop production, they have done very little to do it. There's one particular project which is a classic example. From July last year, a number of interested farmers in St. John were invited to Gall Hill to sign up for land at Wakefield for crop production. Since then, all you have been hearing from the Minister of Agriculture in the next 2 weeks. When they opened the sugar harvest in February, they invited persons to a cane ground in Wakefield, one of the only cane grounds which they were able to do, because Wakefield has several grounds, but that is the only one that they were able to do. A cane ground in Wakefield, and yes, the canes look luscious. And again, they promised the farmers, these interested farmers, in 2 weeks, you will have access to the land. That was February. A couple of weeks ago, this was at the end of July, the only thing that they were able to do in the area is that they created a nice, beautiful lawn along the road in front of Wakefield Plantation so that they can set up a tent and seek people to invite them again to tell them that you are one step closer to getting that land which was promised to you since July last year. Now, if this was a government that had any real interest in agriculture and had any real interest in job security and giving and entrepreneurship and small business in Barbados, those persons would have had that land under cultivation since September last year. They would have reaped a crop of sweet potatoes by now. They would have gone on to plant something else and probably be ready to reap a second crop of sweet potatoes. They could have planted yams from May this year and be ready to provide the country with yams in November, December this year. Nothing has happened because really and truly it is doing something for the small man. And they have no interest. They have shown that they have no interest in helping out the small man in Barbados, the young farmers that have an interest in agriculture, even the farmers that have the young persons who have gone into their feed program, a program which when they started was getting over $2 million when it started in the 2019 estimates, $2 million, and that has dropped to $500,000. And this is a program that is supposed to encourage young people into farming, provide them with the necessary training, and also set them up with at least an acre of land that they can go into cultivation. Does that show $2 million to $500,000? Does that show that this government really has any interest in agriculture in Barbados? Absolutely not. But they keep promising people. Now, going back to the corn, you see that same land that they promised to the young people? They could have given them contracts to grow corn on that land, and contracts work out with Pinnacle. Any corn that they grew on that idle land, that the Pinnacle would take that corn and they would have a ready revenue stream. They would have a crop that they just have to reap and they already know who the buyer is. That is how you build agriculture in Barbados. That is how you build small business. That is how you empower young people and persons who are interested. But this government does not seem to be interested in empowering people. They want to be able to drive through the communities with their trucks, with the, what you call them now? The care packages to be handing out, to keep the people of Barbados dependent on them. That is more so their interest. Instead of empowering people, all of the fancy talk that they had prior to 2018 has gone. They're no longer your friends. They're no longer rubbing shoulders with you. They're no longer coming in your communities and looking to build you up. But it seems as though they're more intent on how to keep you down. Because we have gone to a situation where getting jobs in Barbados is based on how loyal you are to the MP. And you have MPs that actually go to NCC, even for simple programs as the ash cleaning program, which costs this country over $21 million. And you have MPs finger-picking who is supposed to get this money from the ash cleaning program. In the days of the Democratic Labour Party, if Steve Blackett had done that, you would not stop hearing about that in Barbados. You would be forever hearing how much politics we play with everything. But you have MPs who actually assign people not to do the regular work in terms of cleaning up the road, but you actually assign people to clean up people's private property. Things like that happening under this administration, and everybody seems to be quiet and silent about it. They're not about empowering people, they're about giving you handouts, and they're about keeping you down. But we need to do a little bit more. And I asked the Minister of Agriculture, when are you going to bring a solution to the feed situation in Barbados? How difficult is it for you to decide that you will offer the farmers a rebate on the feed? Does that not seem like a better option? To offer the farmers at least a 25, 30, or 40% rebate on the feed. At least do it for the period of time so that we can maintain the cost, because obviously, if this continues, the price of chicken will have to go up. The price of pork will have to go up. It means that when you go into Shafet, you're going to have to pull your pocket for a lot more money. And they have already hinted at that in the papers today. It means that when you go to Big Heather for bread and two or for your normal sauce, you're going to have to pay a lot more money. And we know the facts about things in Barbados, that the money is not stretching that far. So it is going to hurt a number of people in Barbados. Up to today, I heard a conversation about how the cost of living in Barbados has impacted your diet. And there are a lot of people nowadays who cannot eat what you will call a square meal a day, which would include the starch, the protein, the vegetables, and the fiber. I hope I got it right for the nurse in the audience. A square meal. There are a lot of people in Barbados who cannot afford that. And if we do not do something about this feed situation of Barbados, it's going to make it worse for people to be able to afford the produce, the meat that we depend on for our protein. All of us eat chicken on a regular basis. That's a regular staple on Sundays. And eggs. We can't afford for those things to be going up. Already, in some supermarkets, you pay as much as $27 for a little chicken that can only last you for a Sunday meal. And that is ridiculous. If the Minister of Agriculture comes with a simple solution of offering the farmers a rebate, it will put cash back in their hands and allow them to be able to do more, because farmers need assistance in Barbados. And let us move on to the other areas. We have our ministers now talking down to us and making it seem as though we are stupid. And I'm making reference to this with regards to the Ministry of Energy. And we have first Kerry Simmons, who when Barbadians are complaining about the price of gasoline in Barbados, would have the gall to tell people to drive less. Now, many of you in Barbados, we don't have the luxury of being able to drive less in Barbados, because if you live in St. Lucie, you have no choice about to come down to town to work or whatever the case might be. And we don't have a dependable bus service as yet that we can say to leave home our cars. But it seems as though this government's policy, its revenue policy, is to make sure that they fleece as much money out of the people of Barbados through the fuel tax which they implemented. Now, I just want to bring some information to you. The fuel tax in Barbados currently is overperforming the road tax which it was placed to implement. Road tax in Barbados traditionally would collect about $65 to $70 million. Since the government of Barbados introduced the fuel tax, which is 40 cents on every litre, they are currently collecting over $85 million a year in that tax. And on top of that, they're also collecting an additional $20 million. $20 million for the road tax, because you still pay, the commercial vehicles still pay road tax. So this is over $100 million that they're making from a tax that used to collect $65 to $70 million. Cannot this caring government, as it is supposed to be, give the people of Barbados an ease by reducing the amount of that fuel tax which is collected? All that is needed is to slash the fuel tax from 40 cents per litre to 20 cents per litre, and the government of Barbados will still make revenue. So all the lot of long talk that Ryan Strong came to the people of Barbados with, as though we didn't know that we imported fuel from outside of Barbados, we didn't know that the fuel had to come here by boats, that is not the factor that is carrying up the price of the fuel. And we know that the cost of fuel increases on the world market. There is a system in place already to deal with that. All that is necessary to bring a little bit of relief to the people of Barbados is
One, two.
Thank you. I will wrap up now. You didn't have to cut my mic. Thank you. I will wrap up now. You didn't have to cut the mic. Next time, but I take the hint. All that is required for the government of Barbados to do, as I was speaking about, is to simply give the people of Barbados an ease on the fuel tax. It is 40 cents per litre now. If they remove at least 20 cents from that, it would bring the cost of the gas from $3.99 down to 20 cents off of that is probably $3.79 or something along that line. And that would bring a little bit of ease to the people of Barbados, because at the end of the day, we must recognize that the cost of fuel in Barbados adds to the cost of living in Barbados. Every single sector in Barbados will face increases. You will have increases in the supermarkets. You will have increases to delivery. You will have increases to agriculture. And if we want to make this country competitive in terms of a competitive manufacturing sector and agricultural sector and distribution sector, we need to control our prices of fuel in Barbados, and they need to do a better job. They cannot expect to raise all of their revenue by juking their hands into the pockets of people of Barbados and robbing them and raping them every single time that you go to the gas stations to put gas in your car. I can't even say to fill up, because most people in Barbados cannot afford to fill up anymore because of the high cost of gas in Barbados. And it is ridiculous that you have Minister Ryan Straw being on brass stats, talking all over the place, and they, even though they promise on the 19th of June to bring a solution to the people of Barbados, they cannot see fit. And this only tells me, this is another classic example, that right now, while the people of this country are suffering and hurting because of the high cost of living, because of high unemployment, and because of this government not knowing anything else beyond tourism in terms of an economic sector in Barbados, this country is on autopilot. And it is unfair to the people of Barbados when you have the largest cabinet ever, even within the entire Caribbean, for us to suffer so much and have ministers who will wash their hands of their responsibility and do nothing to bring solutions to the people of Barbados. And that is why the Democratic Labour Party, our candidates, our spokespersons will be out there in the field delivering that message. And over this weekend of the annual conference, you will hear more from us. You will hear more from us, because we are not just talking, we have ideas, we have solutions. We are not just criticizing and pulling down. We want Barbados to do better. We believe that Barbados can do better. We are not behaving like the Barbados Labour Party and throwing our hands up in the air and looking for somebody else to blame. This is the party that implements the solutions. And if Barbados wants to go forward, if we want to get out of this situation, we did not bring COVID. None of us can take responsibility for it. COVID came, happening all over the world. But trust me, you have a better chance of finding solutions to build this Barbados economy and to help the people of Barbados by putting your trust in the Democratic Labour Party and giving each and every single one of our candidates the opportunity to represent you whenever the election bell is rung. We are better, we are ready, and we are committed and able to serve you. That is what we are about, and that is what this 66th anniversary conference is all about. A rally cry to the Democratic Labour Party: we are ready. Get on board, get out there, and give the message to the people of Barbados. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Andrea Worrell. Give him another round of applause, please. Just a reminder for you, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow's lineup, because we're back here again tomorrow for another rally. We're going to have Conrad Dawn Marie Armstrong, another fired up speaker. We're going to have Conrad Corey Cox, Conrad Ryan Walters, of course myself. Make a clap for me, too. And of course, last but no means least, Madam President Worrell de Pisa. And like I said before, this conference is going on for 5 days. We're going to be starting tomorrow at 6:30 in the evening. So we're inviting you to join us early tomorrow evening. And on Friday, like I said before, voting will start from 10. We're making special provisions for those who have challenges between the hours of 10 and 12. but voting will continue as usual up to 7 on Friday, and to 6 on Friday, sorry. And on Saturday, voting will be the same, 10 till 12 for those who have challenges, and it will commence for all other persons at 5 in the evening. So please come out and participate. Make sure you're registered, make sure you're paid up. Make sure that you go online and visit the webpage and view the conference booklet as well. Make sure you tell a friend to join us via YouTube and see what the speakers have to say. But make sure most of all that you receive the message coming from the Democratic Labour Party. We are better and stronger, and we are working together, not only for the Democratic Labour Party, but for the people of Barbados. We thank you for coming here this evening. We look forward to your participation for the full 5 days of the conference. And with the help of God and His strength and grace and His mercy, we hope that you will travel and reach home safely and continue to support the dear loving people of the Democratic Labour Party. Good night, and God bless you all once again.
Just the man outside. Tell Juliet I'm not Romeo. I'm not Damien to her Oreo. Just let your feelings subside and don't get mixed up now, baby. Don't expect no more than what we already have. Keeping it simple. Don't expect no more than what we already have. Keeping it simple. Sometime, baby, call me sometime. Not all the time, so girl, you already have a man. But I can be yours, baby, call me. But not all the time, so you take a wine with me sometime. You take a grind with me sometime. You can fight with me sometime. But not all the time, so you take a wine with me sometime. You take a grind with me sometime. You can fight with me sometime. But not all the time, so darling, you give a new definition to love. Darling, a blessing from the